Welcome into another episode of Getting Technical, brought to you by Better and Green. I am Ethan. With me here, as always, is Wyatt. Wyatt, before I bring you in to talk some college hoops today, just have to quick make mention, guys. If you have not subscribed to our channel already, please consider doing so. We are donating $1 right now up until the new year. For every subscription that we get, we are at 6 right now since Thanksgiving. So thank you to the 6 new subs. But we're trying to blow our old record out of the water. I think it's like 60 or $70. So no better time to sub to our channel than right now. If you like sports betting, this is the place to be. We cover college basketball, obviously, NFL, college football. We're getting into conference championship, bowl games, playoff. We just went on an hour rant talking about college football. So we cover it here. But you name it, we have it. EPL, European soccer, UFC, MMA. I mean, we cover everything, so consider subscribing. If you do like this content, hit that like button. Drop us a comment down below as well. If you hate me, let me know. If you hate Wyatt, let him know. We don't care what the comment is. Just let us know what you think. But Wyatt, gonna bring you in now. We are talking a game tonight on college basketball card between Kentucky and Gonzaga, and then we have 5 ranked games going on Saturday. Going to be a great day of sports with those conference championships in football and all of these ranked basketball games. Before we get into that, it's been a little minute since we've talked college hoops. How are you feeling about the games we're going to talk about? And better yet, how are you feeling about your third-ranked Michigan Wolverines?
Number 1 on KenPom. Don't forget that. Well, yeah, football unfortunately came to a embarrassing end. So now I'm full throttle on college basketball. And it is good to have a Michigan team that had 3 fantastic wins. They were looking a little shaky early in the season with a close win against TCU, close win against Wake Forest. I thought it was going to be the same old. And then 3 just dominating wins in that Players Era tournament. So I'm looking forward to Michigan. They do play Saturday against Rutgers. Not going to be probably much of a game, but I'm hoping they can continue the momentum. So it is exciting to have a really good team. I know your Spartans are up there in the top 10 as well. So a really exciting time for us Michigan fans. We have Purdue, obviously number 1, Illinois in the rankings. So big Big Ten representation in the top 25. But yeah, feeling terrible about these games, to be quite honest with you. I've been easing my way into college basketball and don't know a whole lot about these teams or what to think. We only have a couple games under our belt, so it is going to be a little tricky. But I am very excited to watch most of these games, and hopefully, I can find a way to make a little bit of money and get some winning bets.
Yeah, it's for anyone that watches our Power 4 Picks college football show, it's pretty nice that I can, throw off the Alabama gear and actually put Michigan State on. I've kind of adopted more or less Alabama in college football because we never get to talk Spartans, so it's fun. College basketball, we actually have 2 really good teams, so. Going to be a fun year, especially once we get into the time of the year when those teams are playing. But let's get into our first game here. This is a 7 o'clock Eastern tip time on Friday night. It is the 11th ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs and the 18th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. This game is being played at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, so home of the Predators, a neutral site game here. It is Gonzaga as a 5.5 point favorite, over under 160.5. I will start here. I'm going to lean with Gonzaga minus the 5.5, although I feel like we're getting up to the point of maybe missing the line. This did open at, I believe, 3.5 here. But, I'm just not very sold on this Kentucky team, and I'm very sold on Gonzaga. I was incredibly impressed with Michigan's dismantling of this team. I actually had a bet on Gonzaga, and, that was over immediately. It's a 40-point win there for Michigan. But outside of that, Gonzaga beat a very good Alabama team, which is a very tough team to run with. They beat Creighton when they were ranked, although Creighton really struggled in those tournaments over the holiday week. But ultimately, I just think Gonzaga is the much better team here. Kentucky has struggled against every good team they face, lost to North Carolina, lost to Michigan State, lost to Louisville as well. I think people are expecting them to bounce back and start getting some of these wins. They still have Gonzaga, Indiana, St. John's on their non-con schedule. I just don't know if it's going to happen. It's a young team. Kentucky has struggled over the last few years, especially once they get into the tournament. And, I think people are expecting them to start getting some big wins. Don't think it happens here against Gonzaga. I lean the 5.5. How are you feeling for this game?
Yeah, tough game. I still think Gonzaga is a really good team. That honestly surprised me. I think it surprised the entire country what Michigan did to them. Again, I don't know what kind of water they're drinking over there in Vegas, but I hope they brought it back to Ann Arbor because that Michigan team is crazy. But yeah, in Kentucky, 3 losses early. No one really expected that. They just lost at Roop last game against North Carolina, losing to Michigan State pretty handily. Then they lost to Louisville pretty handily as well. So really tricky games with two teams coming off losses. I do think Gonzaga is a better team, but I unfortunately am going to go the alternative route here, and I'm just going to take a good old-fashioned over here. Kentucky, Gonzaga, two very high-scoring teams, two teams off of very poor offensive performances. Gonzaga scoring 61. I think it was their lowest. It was their lowest all year. I think there was the lowest in the last couple of years. They scored 61 points against Michigan. Kentucky scoring 64 at home against North Carolina. These are teams that are averaging in the 80s, getting held below or 20 points below their average. So I think I know it's a neutral site, so no true home advantage, but Gonzaga has been putting up massive points on neutral sites. Besides that Michigan game, 100 against Bama, 100 against Maryland, 95 against Bama. I don't really think the arena is going to affect them at all. And I think Kentucky is a really good bounce back game. So I honestly don't know who's going to win. I would agree with you. I think Gonzaga is probably the side, but I think I missed a number. So I'm missing a Friday night overs. It's going to be my same thing for college football. Friday night overs. It's just a good way to bet. And I feel pretty confident both offenses figure it out tonight.
I like that play. I might need to look into that because, yeah, like you said, like I said too, I do think we've missed that number on Gonzaga. So might look into that side as well. Let's move to Saturday here, a noon Eastern start time. We have two really big Big Ten games at noon with Iowa State and Purdue, and Duke and Michigan State. We're going to start with Iowa State and Purdue here. This game is being played at Mackey, so it is a true home game here for Purdue. Minus 4.5 points for the Boilermakers, over under 149.5. I'll send it right back over to you. How are you breaking down Iowa State and Purdue?
Yeah, another tough one. Iowa State number 10 on the rankings, number 4 some reason on KenPom, which I don't think I agree with. Iowa State's best win was against St. John's. They beat a Creighton team who's down. They beat a Syracuse team that just beat. Did they just beat Kentucky? No, Tennessee. Like, I get it. They, St. John's is also, I think St. John's has 2 or 3 losses on the year already. 3 losses on the year for St. John's. So they're not even close to what they were last year. So I just think Purdue is a much better team. Plus, you're getting them at home. I mean, Purdue beat Bama at Bama. They beat Texas Tech on a neutral site by 20. I really think we're getting a discount here. And maybe I'm just wrong, and maybe it's just public. I don't really know, but I think Purdue's a much better team. Mackey's a really tough place to play, and I think they get it done and cover the spread here.
I 100% agree. This line feels so short to me, and to be honest, I thought Purdue's line against Rutgers the other day felt really short. It was 13.5, but Rutgers is just not a good team, and I thought it was a little fishy, so I stayed away. They ended up winning that game and covering that spread they won by 16, so they didn't cover by a ton, but I just think this line is really short here. Not sure if Iowa State's going to get their best player, Tamin Lipsey, back for this game. I know he went down, I believe, in the first game of those tournaments during the holiday week. And, without him, this line is definitely short. But I really like Purdue. I thought Matt Painter had some nice comments after the Rutgers game about, teams that are built, from within are kind of having this early season success, with the Braden Smith, the Fletcher Lawyer, guys that I feel like Fletcher's Lawyer has been there for 7 years. I mean, the guy's just never going to leave. Trey Kaufman-Renn, some guys on Purdue that have just stuck around. And yeah, I think a Saturday noon game at Mackey. I think the arena is going to be, jumping for this game. Also, you mentioned some of the wins for Iowa State, but yeah, St. John's, you mentioned the losses for them. I don't think they're nearly as good as where their ranking is. Creighton, not that good of a team this year. They did beat Syracuse, but Cuse was off playing their 3rd game in 3 nights, which I know Iowa State was too, but they played Houston and Kansas before they had to play Iowa State. So they were just beat down. Just not impressed really with Iowa State's wins. Think Purdue's by far the better team. Line feels short. If I'm going to play this one, probably going to jump on it tonight because I do think this could get closer to 6.5 by tip, but I do like Purdue for that game. Next noon game, already kind of teased it here. 4th-ranked Duke heading to Michigan State to face the 7th-ranked Spartans. This is a true home game for Michigan State at the Breslin Center. Sparty, a 1.5-point home favorite here, over under 138.5. I'll start with this game. Yes, I am a little biased towards Michigan State, but I do lean with the Spartans in this game. I was off on what this line would be. I was really hoping I could get like 5.5 points with the Spartans as a dog. Would have really liked them there, but now you're getting the lower ranked team as the favorite, something that you and I always look for in these college basketball and football games. And I really just think the home edge here for Michigan State is going to be the difference in this game. Duke, a very young team, kids that have not played in an atmosphere like this before in their entire lives. This is a game that's been scheduled now for a couple of years. And I just think, kind of same reasoning for Purdue. These teams like Michigan State and Purdue, they are going to have a lot of early season success. We've already seen it with State beating Kentucky, Arkansas, and North Carolina because these kids have played together. They know the team, they know the school, they know each other, and I think it really helps out here early in the year. Duke, obviously one of the best teams. They're going to probably be a very public team here. They beat Florida and Arkansas in their last 2 games, beat Kansas, beat Texas. Some really nice wins on Duke's schedule, but young team in a hostile environment. Very telling that Michigan State is favored in this spot here. So I'm going to lean Michigan State. I'll probably end up betting it, kind of have to here, but it is also their last big game on their non-con schedule. Would just be incredible to go 4-0 in their 4 biggest games before entering Big Ten play. So I lean Sparty here, but for maybe a less biased opinion, going to send it to you to hear what you're thinking. Duke and Michigan State.
Yeah, I don't know, man. This one's really tough for me. Usually we see this Michigan State team, and I know Michigan State's good, but usually we see them lose 1 or 2 of these games early. It's kind of what Tom Izzo does. He, in my opinion, it's a genius coaching strategy. You get your team to play against potential March Madness winners and say, if you lose, you say, all right, this is the caliber you have to be in order to be a contender. I think it's a great strategy. And Michigan State notoriously has lost some of these, not at home, but they've lost them on neutral sites. So this home court advantage is a big thing for Michigan State. But I know that they're just coming off a dismantling of Iowa too. I'm going to take a shot on Dookie. I think Michigan State is a phenomenal team. I think they might be a little, again, I'm a pretty big Michigan State non-liker. I won't say hater, but it's pretty much a hater. I think they're just a little slightly overrated. So Duke, I think, is phenomenal, even though they're super young. Those Boozer, well, the one Boozer brother's great. The other one's Bronny James. But I think it just might be too much. Ken Pom has this game 71-70 Michigan State. I'll take the spread, I guess, plus 1.5, hoping, for your sake, it's a 1-point Michigan State win, but I think Duke has a decent shot at knocking the Spartans off at home. I know it goes against our system when the lower-ranked team is favored against a higher-ranked team, but again, I think the Breslin, honestly, probably adds 4 or 5 points in advantage with how rowdy that crowd gets. But my least favorite game, I'm not going to bet it because I think it's more of an emotional bet than a logic bet, but I'll go with Duke. I think they're just a slightly better team.
Yeah, I definitely can't blame you there by any means. And I thought Michigan State was going to lose to North Carolina on Thanksgiving because same reason. Like, I'm not going to go out and say Izzo likes losing these games, but it's definitely like a lose and grow type of game. So, yeah, it would coming into the year, it would shock me if they won all 4, but yeah, I think just at home is the reasoning that pushes me over the edge there for Michigan State, but should be a really good game. Really looking forward to it, obviously. But let's move on to our next big matchup here. Sorry, let me find it. 2:15 Eastern start time. The 6th ranked Louisville Cardinals playing the 22nd ranked Indiana Hoosiers. This game is in Gainbridge Arena or Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, which I believe is the home of the Pacers. So I think it's technically a neutral site, but I guess Louisville's very close to Indianapolis as well. So I guess it is pretty neutral here. Indiana, 4.5 point, we'll call them home underdog here, over under 157.5. I don't know about this game. I'm going to send it to you here, see if you can kind of uncloud my brain. You have a strong lean on Louisville or Indiana?
Yeah. God, it's tough. Indiana off a loss to Minnesota. Louisville off a loss to Arkansas. I think it's just too many points. I think it's too many points. I'm going to take it with Indiana. I think they can hang around with Louisville. Obviously, Louisville, with that really big win against Kentucky, that's looking to be not so good of a win. And then just, lost by 9 to Arkansas, not a bad loss. Indiana losing to a Minnesota team that could not miss a shot in the first half. We've seen that Minnesota team multiple times as a Michigan fan. When those guys get hot from the three, they are absolutely, you can't beat them. It's impossible. So not a terrible loss in my opinion. Really haven't played anyone, but I just think it's a little too many points. So I'm going to take them to cover. Again, not in love with this game at all. And to be quite honest, I've watched 1 Louisville game and 0 Indiana games. So I'm not quite sure what I'm getting into with this Hoosiers squad, but I think it's too many points. So give me them to cover the spread here.
Yeah, I'll keep this one fairly short. I think I'm going to slightly lean with Louisville in this game, and I just think Louisville's better, just quite a bit better. I think Louisville is going to compete for, Sweet 16, Elite 8 once it's all said and done, and I'm just not super bought into this Indiana team. And then I just think the spot slightly favors Louisville here. Yes, they're both off a loss, but IU is off a conference loss with a conference game on deck just on Tuesday. It's against Penn State. It's no look-ahead spot by any means, but you can't start 0-2 in the conference against 2 unranked teams here for Indiana. And, it's usually we get these couple conference games before a bunch of cupcakes and then before the real conference games start. So I do think Indiana needs to get that win against Penn State. Again, not really a look ahead because they should be able to handle Penn State with ease at home. Meanwhile, Louisville, they are off the loss to Arkansas. Can't really fault them for that. Arkansas is a good team. They don't play again until next Saturday, so they have a full week off. Beat Kentucky earlier in the year. We've kind of talked about Kentucky maybe not being as good as what people think, but yeah, I just think Louisville's maybe in a better spot here. Ultimately, the better team. I will lean the 4.5. Unlikely that I'll be betting that game, but I do think Louisville probably gets that one done. Let's move on to the night games here. Again, sorry, I have to scroll to find what is the next game. 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Going to really late in the day. We have the 14th ranked Illinois Fighting Illini and the 13th ranked Tennessee Volunteers playing each other. I believe this game, yes, this is also at Bridgestone, so home of the Predators, but in Tennessee. So kind of a home game for Tennessee here. Minus 2.5 points for the Volunteers as a home favorite. Over under 151.5. Man, I really don't know about this game either. I think I'm going to lean with Illinois. And I think Illinois, I just think they're a really good team this year. They do have 2 losses already to Alabama and UConn, but those are 2 teams I would put in the top 5. Just really high on, well, I don't want to be high on UConn, but they are a good team. They just have a clown for a coach. Alabama is just as pro of a college team as you're going to get. And they only lost that game by 4 points. Did kind of get blown out a little bit by UConn, but I don't know. Tennessee, they do have a very good win over Houston, but then they dropped their next 2 against Kansas and Syracuse. Not really good losses there. I think people might look and see, they've lost 2 in a row, thinking maybe, they can't drop a third in a row, but this is a very tough game. They do have Louisville on deck, although that's over a week away. So no real look ahead spot here. I'm just a little bit higher, I think, on Illinois, maybe than I should be. So I'm going to lean taking the points with them. But again, not a game that I'm super in love with. But how are you seeing Illinois, Tennessee?
Yeah, again, another tricky matchup here. Both teams coming off losses makes it very difficult for me to predict what's going on. I really wish I was on Kansas in this Tennessee game after that big win against Houston. That was a clear emotional hangover spot, and Kansas gets it done in that game. And then, yeah, just not a great loss against a Syracuse game, but it was at Syracuse for Tennessee, a 2-point loss there. Then Illinois has lost their 2 big games they played. They lost Alabama by 4 and then Connecticut by 13. So is Illinois good? I mean, they beat Texas Tech by 4 at home. They lost their other 2 big games. Tennessee has one of the best wins of the country against Houston and then fell 2 straight games. So, gosh, I don't know, man. When in doubt, I mean, I'm just going to take the over here, 150.5, I believe it is. And my thought process here is this is not the Tennessee team we've seen the last couple of years. This is a Tennessee team that scores a lot more. They're faster, and their defense isn't quite as good as what it used to be. I know they just had a 60-62 game over Syracuse. That's a very stereotypical Tennessee basketball score the last couple of years. That's just not the case for Tennessee anymore. They're a much more higher scoring team. And I think this is a really good bounce back game for them after a stinker on offense. And then Illinois, we all know Illinois is one of the highest scoring teams in the Big Ten with all their Euro guys now. So I think this is going to be a little bit of a slugfest where points are going through the basket pretty much at will. So actually not a slugfest. Never mind. The points are just flowing, and I honestly just can't pick a winner here. So going to base the fact that Illinois is a high-powered offense, base the fact that Tennessee's defense is not what it was, and I'm going to take a shot on the over in this game.
Yeah, again, I don't hate that total at all. And again, guys, we are filming this on Friday, so opinions could potentially change come Saturday. And I mean, it kind of sounds like a cop out here, but like public and money moves, it really does kind of determine the market a lot of the times in these big matchups for college basketball. So if you are interested in our official plays, we usually do try to tweet those out at our pages. So follow me on Twitter X at eBamer26, Wyatt at Worst Bets. We'll try to post if we do have some official plays. But final game that we were talking about here, a true nightcap, 10 p.m. Eastern start time, 20th ranked Auburn Tigers heading to Arizona to face the second ranked Wildcats. I actually don't know. This is at McHale Memorial Center in Tucson, Arizona. And I am not sure if that is a true home game for Arizona or not. I'm going to assume that it is not.
I think, according to KenPom, it just says home. If it's not, sometimes it says semi-home. So I think it's just a true home.
Okay. Yeah, Arizona, a 7.5-point home favorite, over under 160.5. I'm going to take Arizona in this game. I think Arizona is the real deal. They have a multitude of great wins on their schedule. They beat the defending champ Florida first game of the season. They beat UCLA. They beat UConn. And now they face this Auburn team who they have a couple what you would think are big wins on their schedule. But I'm just not sure how big of the wins they are. St. John's and NC State. Oregon as well. Oregon has struggled coming out of the gates. We've talked about St. John's. I think they're one of the more overrated teams in the country. At least they were coming into the season. And NC State, too. They were kind of the super team that got built in the offseason, and they've really just had some struggles. They look like a team that can get very disinterested at times with some of those transfers. But the two games that, against the best teams that Auburn's played, blown out by Michigan, had Michigan in that game. That was an absolute no sweater. Lost to Houston, only by 1 point against Houston. But yeah, I think those are by far the two top teams they've played, lost them both. I think Arizona is up in the category of Michigan and Houston rather than the St. John's or NC State category. So I'm just going to take a stab here with Arizona. They do have Alabama on deck, which will be a phenomenal game. Probably want to take the over in that one. But it is a week away, so I don't think there's much of a look-ahead spot here. I'm going to slightly lean the points. It is a big number to lay, 7.5, but I do like the Wildcats, minus the points here. Which way are you breaking down our nightcap game?
Yeah, again, another tricky one. I kind of am going to disagree, and I'm going to take Auburn plus the points here. Thought process is Arizona. Like you said, a couple good wins here. They beat Florida, UCLA, and Connecticut, but that is a 6-point win against Florida. That is a 4-point win against UCLA, and that is a 4-point win against Connecticut. Granted, those are all neutral sites or semi-away or true away games. This is a home game against Auburn, which definitely makes me a little nervous. But then, like you said, Auburn, besides that Michigan blowout loss by 30, they lose to one of the best teams in the country, Houston, by 1 point. Granted, that was a semi-home game. So now they're going to have to go to a true away game at Arizona. But this team just kind of hangs in there besides that Michigan game, which I don't know if that's an anomaly. I don't know what Michigan was doing that week. But everyone's getting blown out by them. So maybe that was just an anomaly and they can contend. But I just think it's too many points. I think Arizona's going to win, but I'm going to thread the needle here and take Auburn plus a points, hoping it's like a 4 or 5 point Arizona win. I think Auburn can definitely hang in there. I know Arizona's the real deal, but yeah, they're not pulling away. I know they played, 3 pretty good teams. It would be impressive if they were pulling away from those teams, and none of them are home games, but just haven't seen that pull away factor yet from Arizona. And I think Auburn has the ability just to hang in there. It seems like they're a team that will be fighting to the end. So I like them plus the points in this matchup.
Yeah, it is It is a ton of points, so there's definitely I won't be laying 7.5 comfortably with Arizona, but guys, that will wrap it for this extended episode of Getting Technical, brought to you by Better and Green. Quite a bit of disagreement on this episode, which is good. It gives people sides of both, or opinions on both sides, kind of lets them make their ultimate opinion, which is how these shows should be. I see so many people betting blindly what we say and then potentially getting mad, and it's like, well, you're the one that plays the bet. So, probably good to have a little disagreement here, but before we close out, Wyatt, any last words? I know, like you said, you do have Michigan playing Rutgers tomorrow. I don't know if you have an opinion there, but any final thoughts here before we close this one out?
Yeah, I don't know the spread on that game. KenPom has Michigan by 25, so I'm going to assume the spread's going to be in the 20s. I would take Rutgers plus the points. I think that water in Vegas, I think the fact that there's no water in Vegas, they were drinking fake water. There's some alchemy going on. So I like Rutgers plus the points. I think Michigan's going to be super public in that game, but I don't know what the spread is. I can't find it yet.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it either, but that would be a lot of points, although I don't know. Only 13.5 against Purdue, so we'll see where that line comes out. But guys, that will wrap it for this episode of Getting Technical. Thank you again, as always, for watching. Again, if you have not subscribed to our channel already, we are donating $1 to St. Jude until the new year for every subscriber. So please consider doing so. Again, like the video, really helps out the YouTube algorithm, helps us out, helps us keep making these videos for free. And then drop us a comment. Again, if you love us, hate us, just let us know. We need to fix anything, we'll do it. So let us know in the comments, guys. Thank you for watching. Until next time, we'll see you for another episode of Getting Technical, brought to you by Better and Green.
Welcome to Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? To Better and Green, eh? Listen in and cash out. That's what it's all about. Come on, let's make cash now. We always on spot and we cover all spot from the bottom to the top. Hey, shout out to Ethan, shout out to Wyatt, shout out to Ben. Welcome to our podcast, Better and Green.